rather speak basketball.
There it is.
It's the Confederacy of Dunks Basketball Podcast.
Kyle Lowry. Welcome to the Confederacy of Dunks Basketball Podcast. I am your host, Freddie Rivas. And who, sir, are you?
I am the producer. My name is Matt. How are you doing?
I am doing okay on this very rainy day.
Rainy
Matt,
day.
How are you? Is things rainy there too?
40 minutes north of Toronto here. It's coming down pretty damp, I would say.
Coming down pretty damp. I like that. Well, I'll tell you what's not damp. This little thing I got in my head here. You want to tell people what that's all about?
Yeah. So, people got a lot of merch. We've just got a few things. And one of those is an anti-itch toque. It says Confederacy of Dunks on it. And you know what? It's a fantastic toque. We've got some left in stock. It's going to get colder. It's going to get damper. You're going to want to warm that noggin. Am I right? If you are watching on YouTube, Freddie's given a real good lean in on the on our logo that is on the toque. So please get in contact with us. You can order on our Shopify, and we'll get that thing sent off in the mail.
And if you don't love Matt's voice when it goes so high, then you don't know how to live.
I am a bit of a high talker.
You're a high talker when you get excited too, especially if it's like there's no itching involved in what you're saying.
Yeah, that always gets me really excited.
You get going.
Yeah.
Hey, the season's coming back, dude. It's going to come back on the 22nd.
Wow.
So
that's a lot sooner than I thought.
This is going to be a very short off-season Funhouse for us, I think.
Very.
But, like all the other good stuff, why don't you tell people about the Sonar Network, maybe where they can find us, all the deets.
Yeah. We've got our old website, our old teenagers skateboard that we talked about last week. Go to dunkspodcast.com because we've got all our links there for you for the Sonar Network, for our social handles, our YouTube page, and all our podcatchers, as well as our Patreon. If you want to support us, if you're feeling a little bit festive and you want to chuck us a couple bucks, or you maybe want to spend $5 and get a little more exclusive content, maybe even some hot sauce that might be still in Freddie's fridge.
Hey, come get it.
You're ready to pay up. That would be great. I know it's tough times for everybody. So if you can't, that's cool too. And yeah, just check out the sonarnetwork.com. They keep adding new podcasts and stuff. Really funny comedians and interesting, mystery and whatnot. So you can check out lots of good stuff there. And we've got some next week. You're going to start to hear some ads from us. So, we've put together a little something. It'll play right off the top, and we're pretty excited. We'll talk more about it next week, I guess, a little bit.
We hope you like it. And thanks for everyone for, listening, sharing, subscribing, Patreon, everything helps. And you're helping us basically get to the big time.
Absolutely.
So if you were on Twitter today and you saw, that was it a Maserati rolling out into Kyle's driveway? I was driving that with the money that we get through Patreon. Yeah. So not at all, but honestly, help us out a bit if you can. Okay. Before we get rolling here, I just want to say, of course, Black Lives Matter and defund the police. And unfortunately, we have another incident, another murder by the hands of the police on a Black man that has to be talked about. So it's horrible. And I don't want to give you all the details, but I think you should, if you haven't heard about it already, please investigate for yourself, read up. It's all over CBC. This happened 4 years ago, and the police were, let off of the charges of murdering Abdirahman Abdi, who's a Somali Canadian. It's pretty sad. It's pretty horrible. And we're obviously thinking about his family. And, just another really graphic and awful reminder that this is not something that's going away, and we have to keep fighting for it. So yeah, keep that in mind. And Matt, let's talk some basketball. If you feel like we're ready to go there and talk some ball and get silly, please just give me the words okay. Okay, buddies, let's start talking some basketball. But before we do that, we're going to bring on our two special guests this week. I'm super excited. It's actually the first time she's doing this podcast. We've known each other for, I want to say, like plus 14 years, like a really long time. She's hilarious. She's an amazing improviser. She's a wicked comedian. We'll plug her on everything so you can follow her and all the good stuff. And she's a hardcore Raptors fan, which I somehow didn't realize until this Raptors run. But anyways, I'm pumped she's on the podcast. Give it up as loud as you can, even if you're at home alone, for Georgea Brooks Hancock.
Hi.
Everyone gets their own music.
Oh, sick. This is really me.
Yeah. This is, is that you just like, listen, LA doesn't have good transit, so you gotta get a car and blow a flute? Sorry, that ran out quick.
Yeah, I don't know if you know, you can't drive unless you're blowing a flute at the same time.
Well, I was going to be like, so you got to walk around with a flute, but I'm like, no, I have been to LA once, and I know that people don't walk around a lot.
Not a ton of flutes there?
No, God, no.
I definitely, like, just quick Torontonian talking about LA aside, I for sure was one of those people who were like, what do you do with no transit? And then you go there and you're like, oh, there is no like meaningful transit in a lot of places, so you don't use it. Although I did use the subway to go to the Lakers games.
The Staples Center, yeah. Going to the Staples Center, the transit's sick. Like, the transit is bad. Everyone says it's bad here. It's actually pretty good. It's just, it's like LA is like Mississauga. It's like sprawling. So
yeah, exactly.
And I live in the suburbs now, basically. So
suburbs.
You need it.
Okay, let's
in my 30s.
30s in the suburbs. This next guest is not in his 30s, but I think currently he's in the suburbs. I don't want to give away his exact location, but I do believe it's Oshawa. Hopefully it's the NDP side. There, I said it. He's hilarious. I improvise with him all the time. He's been on the podcast a couple times, and he's probably working right now. So extra special love for lying to your bosses for this. Randl Morales, everybody give it up. I don't know if your music's playing, so I'm just trying to vibe out.
Yeah. Hey, Freddie.
What's up, buddy? How are you?
Good. I'd like to let you know I'm definitely not in the NDP side, unfortunately.
Oh,
I'm even in the writing of the new leader.
You're in the writing of Aaron O'Toole?
Yeah.
Oh no, I thought he was a Whitby writing person.
No, he's in a like a Durham region writing, which
son of a.
Yeah, it covers part of Oshawa.
Okay, well, listen, Oshawa. Okay, we got to go NDP next time. It's really important. Durham is all very important. Ajax,
exactly.
Oshawa, Pickering. Come on now. Okay, let's talk some basketball.
Woo!
Let's talk some Raptors. Maddie, I know you got something for me. So if you'd give me whatever your most beautiful Raptor sting is, would you please give it to me?
Bobby Webster.
Oh, did I was close.
Yeah.
Okay. Randall, let's start with you. And by the way, Matt, this question, I hope you thought of an answer because this is a perfect Matt question. So,
Fair enough.
No pressure, but I'll go to you last.
Got it.
Because this is right up your alley. So Randall.
Yes, Freddie.
I don't know, what all sports you follow, but some prominent football players, Patrick Mahomes, has said that he wants the Raptors to play in Kansas City, Missouri. This is because looks like we're heading down the Blue Jays path of there being a Canadian border. Like the U.S. Canadian travel isn't totally free flowing, so there's going to be no, like, they can't play games in Toronto. So the Raptors are going to need a second home in this condensed season. The rumors have been like Louisville, which seemed like it was shot down pretty hard. Patrick Mahomes said Kansas City. I just saw like a whole like mini press conference with this like random one fan from Buffalo who seemed like a really nice guy who was like, come on, like, we're in Buffalo, help us out. And I was like, this guy's got a point. But anyways, I want you to pitch me on a place that the Raptors are going to, like, that the Raptors should call second home in the States, obviously.
All right. I'll pitch you 3.
Wow.
3
okay.
possible places. Okay. All right. So number 1, if we need a proper arena, why not go to the one that we won last time and play at the Oracle Arena?
Okay, that's
a great one.
It's already way better than mine. So
yeah,
that's pretty good. And that's just an empty arena that has a lot of good history. Okay.
Exactly.
Huge.
And now I regret it because I feel like my pitches are not going to go downhill. My second
They're going
pitch,
downhill for sure.
My second pitch is the Smithsonian National Museum and play right next to the dinosaur fossils.
Whoa.
Okay, that's pretty good.
Sticking with the dinosaur Jurassic Park theme that we have.
Okay.
And you know what? My third pitch, maybe we don't need to maybe we can still play in Canada and play at the Embassy of Canada in Washington, D.C.
Oh my God.
And then we can even simulate a customs line and stuff like that. Get the full Canadian feel.
Okay.
So there you go.
Yeah, let's really make sure the Canadian feel is like a lineup to get in.
Yeah, we'll be like, we want the vibe. We want these players to be like, hey, Fred, hey, Serge, you thinking about coming back to Toronto? Check out this customs line. There's a Timmy's just beyond the line that if you leave the line, you'll lose your spot. So, all jokes aside, though, Randall, those were magnificent answers to my fairly dumb question. Georgea, George, do you have any?
First of all, I thought this was a pretty dumb question, so I didn't really take it that seriously.
Me either.
I was like, oh, who cares? Next question.
That's fair.
I didn't really think of it. Randall's answers were like so good.
He's got good enough answers for everybody.
Obviously, my first pick, though, I was like, what if, because I know that the Clippers bought the Forum, and I was like, well, if there's 2 stadiums in LA, maybe they go play at the Forum. But then I looked it up, and the Forum's not going to be ready to play until 2024.
Oh, okay.
I just wanted them to be in LA, because that's where I am.
Yeah, that's
But
fair.
Oracle's good. I actually just was like, yeah, go play in Kansas City. Like, that's such a sports city, but they don't have a team. But it doesn't matter. There won't be fans, like.
I know.
I also like
weird.
Buffalo. It's like basically Canada, and then I don't want them to like somewhere else, and then not want to come back to Toronto.
Okay, so now you're getting towards where I was thinking. I don't want them, because I was like, okay, I don't want them to go to like Charleston or something. To like, in some kind of like beautiful-ish place and a nice climate. So I didn't go down the full. I like that you guys did like empty arenas, like which previous arenas. But mine was, I was like, okay, where is a place that's had a team that could support a team, but hasn't had one for a really long time? So I was thinking, what about instead of the Hartford Whalers, we have the Hartford Raptors for one season, and you can even keep like the whale image.
That's Connecticut.
Actually, maybe not. I think that perhaps I don't. You know what? I'll retract that if it's potentially offensive. But yeah, but the Hartford Raptors. Let's just stick with that.
Is that in Connecticut?
Yeah, it's in Connecticut. I was just about to say that I think it's close to Harvard, but then I realized that I'm just confusing the words Hartford and Harvard. So
Hartford is closer to Yale, I'm pretty sure.
There you go. So you got, okay, so that kind of works a little bit. You got a big university, like bunch of nerds, like they can figure out how to make it like high tech and like, get our green screen images into the audience. But like Georgea, this is a pretty dumb question. My answer sucks. What do you
Yes.
got? Are you all anything on like Randall's level or what?
I feel like I am a little bit. This is what I'm thinking. Okay. Did you guys watch Breaking Bad at all?
No.
Yeah.
Yes.
No? Okay, so it's not really Breaking Bad related, but there's a part in that show where the wife wants to leave him, and she goes to a place in the States called the Four Corners. Do you guys know the Four Corners?
Like, is that the DJ booths at the
No, it's
Scotiabank
where
Raptors?
there's 4 states that meet.
Oh.
Oh, I think I
Like,
saw that from The
guess where?
Simpsons.
It's Arizona, Colorado, New Mexico, and Utah. So they all meet at this one spot. I'm thinking right at those corners, we have like a mounted court.
Okay,
and
this is
so
good.
we're playing in 4 different states every game. So
I
you've
like
got
that.
4 different, and then it's going to give Devlin so much to work with when he's doing his calls. He doesn't have to say like from Etobicoke and Peterborough. He can move on a little bit and get the Utahians involved.
Totally.
If
And
it
then
is
like,
a
yeah,
really good, if it's a really good shot, it should still be from like the Yukon or whatever. he
Yeah,
says.
absolutely. Yeah, no.
Scarborough. Or
I
something.
agree. Yeah, like,
Because that's real far. You're like, hell yeah.
yeah. If it's like
Okay.
a half court heave, I still want to hear like, shout out to Fort Mac. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, there we go. I don't
Come on.
think Yukon. Yeah, Yukon is a weird question. If it's over there, are we then in the Western Conference?
Oh,
We
yeah, I guess
wouldn't.
technically we would be, right?
but okay, you know what I do like about this is if like, how people hit corner threes? Each corner three would be in a different state.
Yeah.
So you'd be like, oh my
That's
God,
sick.
like Fred's on fire,
But
but
do
only
we-
from Utah.
Yeah. See,
Sorry,
you
what
guys
I
are-
was
What'd you
just
say,
gonna
George?
say, but do we hit corner threes?
Oh.
we hit corner
True.
threes?
Ouch. Okay,
No,
you know
we
what?
can if we can.
No, this is good. This is good.
Fred can.
I'm gonna pull up some Raptors draft prospects and hit you guys with a little bit of, just a little bit of stuff, and see what we think. But wait, just while I'm looking that up, Matt, tell us a little bit more about these 4 states.
Sure, yeah. So I've never been to any of them. I've the closest I've come is Nevada, which I think is quite close to. And when I was in Nevada, I my lips went dry immediately, and I thought, well, this is a desert for you.
Matt, that's some prime, honestly, like time wasting. I actually found the screen like 30 seconds ago and I was like, where's this guy going with this? I was like, I want to hear about all of his like boyhood tales. So no, I just wanted to hit you kind of with, anyone who listens to this podcast knows we're not like hardcore, like follow college, know all of the draft prospects. And the Raptors have been really good for a long time. So we're drafting at 29th in the first round. We have a second round pick as well, but no one's really going to know, like these players aren't on anyone's radar. If you score this late, you're either like Masai or Greg Popovich or something like that. So, I mean, with that said, I think we'll probably end up getting a good player. But I'll go to you first. George. And I just want to kind of hit you with like the 3 or 4 players like in our range and their position, and kind of see what you think like might work for, based on who you think's going to be.
I took some notes, so hopefully
okay.
I'll follow.
Fair enough. Right. Okay. So I was going to start from 27. So there's a guy named Kyra Lewis, who's a 6'3" point guard from Alabama. The Lakers are looking at a 6'6" shooting guard from Argentina named Leandro Balmero. The Raptors have this guy named Ziki. It's Nnaji. I would say Naji. I'll look that up. But that's like a power forward center. It's 240 from Arizona, so pretty similar to that. Like
How tall is he?
He's 6'11". So that might be
Okay.
like some Duan Hernandez, insurance, because we will need some bigs. And then the 30th guy is another point guard, Devin Dotson, who the Raptors actually just worked out. Anyways, yeah, I don't assume any of us have like watched these players in any kind of detail, but what are you thinking? Like, are the Raptors in the it doesn't seem to be a swing man in our midst. It's like a PG or a center.
Yeah, it seems like they're looking at a lot of point guards. But again, I'm not really great at drafting it also seems like it's really important, but then it's not if you look at like Stanley Johnson or something. So
yes.
I think Devin Dotson isn't right for our team because apparently he's not that great at defense. And that's something obviously we really care about. But he is really athletic. And I think that might transfer to like learning skills.
Yeah, totally.
Is he 6'11"?
The ZK or ZK, however you pronounce that, is 6'11".
Okay.
So Devin
For
Dotson
some reason,
6'1".
6'1". Yeah. Okay. So yeah, but I mean, if they just worked him out, maybe they see something I don't. There's a good chance. Who else did you say? Desmond. Oh, you said Leandro Bolman.
Bolmaro, however you pronounce that.
I think he could be good because he's apparently like pretty okay defensively, but he's also played in like lots of leagues overseas that are pretty intense. And I feel like a lot of players who are great in college, the transition to the NBA is just big and it's so much more pressure and it's so much more competitive that maybe somebody with some experience in some competitive leagues could be really good for us. And he's tall. I didn't write down what position he was.
He's a 6'6" shooting guard. So yeah, he's kind of the guy. I brought this conversation up to kind of like talk about like what we think we need, and for me, it's kind of like like someone who's like almost like a little bit taller than Norm, like almost like a younger Danny Green is that someone who I think we need to bring into the fold. And this guy seems like he's a 6'6", Italian shooting guard or Argentinian shooting guard. So
yeah.
I don't want to assume he can shoot, but sorry.
One would hope. Obviously, I think we need, like, I know we love defense, and I'm all on board for that, and I think we need someone who can play defense. But it would be really nice just to have like a player on the Raptors that we can trust to make buckets, because I feel like Fred is that guy, but then you need a second guy because everyone's going to have a rough night, and Pascal is great at like getting baskets, but he's just going through so many different growth spurts that I feel like you can't really rely on him yet that way. So I guess a freshman, I don't think they call them that, is not somebody you want to rely on either, but it just would still be nice if we could get somebody who's just like who I want is like and like a Matt Thomas. Like I want someone better than him, but like I'm like happy when Matt's on the floor just because he can shoot or someone's going to cover him.
Totally.
So,
I mean, I think it was kind of funny how we all went from being like, Matt Thomas, to being like, he's pretty good, to being like, he's actually good. And then in the playoffs being like, he's helping us spread the floor.
yeah.
And anyways, I think you're like bang on. Like, that's kind of what I was trying to bring up too. Like a taller, slightly better, maybe slightly more athletic Matt Thomas, I think is exactly what this team needs.
And I have one more
defense. Sorry.
I want to say one more point about Boloman. First, I'll learn his name, but the guy from overseas. I like that the Raptors have like a handful of international players. I think it really helps us because we are in another country, and when you're American, I feel like you want to play in America a little bit, but players from other countries are more likely to like enjoy living in Canada and staying in Canada.
I think so. Like, it's always hard to measure that kind of stuff, but when I'm watching, Serge and Ibaka like answer questions in French, they definitely.
Did you say Serge and Ibaka?
I think I did. I meant to say Serge and Pascal. But honestly, I feel like Serge Ibaka, of all people, would appreciate me referring to him like that.
Yeah.
Like Serge and Ibaka and the one with the cooking show as well. But no, I think there is this kind of like this international feel to, maybe not to Torontonians, but I think to international players that are like, oh, there's these 29 teams in one country, and then there's this one other team in a huge city in another country. So it's kind of like this oddity.
Yeah, and we had like I love that our starting lineup was like 3 non-Americans last year.
Totally. And there's definitely also a part of I mean, I don't know, Argentina doesn't really fit into it, but there definitely seems like a part of Masai Ujiri's kind of like thrust. Like he wants to put Africa on the biggest possible stages. That's such a big part of his, ethos as a person. And I think he would absolutely love to have a NBA team in Toronto with a lot of African players that is like a champion team.
Hey, and I'm with him.
Oh my God, totally. And
that's a whole continent to pick from.
Right. And also, like, let's be real, like that kind of like starts with like a Giannis Siakam pairing. So it will be very good. Randall, let's jump into your mind as far as like what do you think the Raptors need right now? Like, in the draft, understanding it's a player that's gonna like take a little while to develop.
Right. So so I think Masai's mindset coming into this draft is not really looking for a piece that can be added to the Raptors, but more of like a talent that he can build upon. And I think this has been the pattern for the past couple of drafts. And I think, you can look at somebody like Terrence Davis, who is the kind of success story of draft picks, although we have like plenty. So that's where I am. I guess it really depends. I have no I don't think that we're drafting to fill in a position. I think we're gonna go there and pick the one with the highest potential. I actually have no idea who these players are, by the way. I'm just hearing them now too. So
don't worry. Either do I. And I feel like if of all years, if this is a year where you're like, I fully followed college basketball, it would kind of be like, wow, during a pandemic. Cheers. Although actually, wait a second, I might be wrong there, because I feel like all of these draft picks probably would have finished their season before. Yeah. Oh, you know what? I'm actually kind of confused on the timeline there, because
I think they stopped.
March Madness would have stopped, right?
I think it stopped. I don't think they had it. Am I stupid?
I'm feeling like I'm talking out of turn a lot. Personally, I mean, I'm talking out of my own like knowledge base. But yeah, I agree with you, Randall. There's like, these players are fairly like unknown.
Right. And so I guess if we're gonna look for a player, maybe somebody who can play almost like a Jakob Poeltl, a quickish big man who is kind of good at ball handling. I guess like a ball handling Boucher, maybe like a better.
I like that, a ball handling Boucher. No, I think like a small, after watching Bam too, play for Miami, it was just like, holy shit, this guy is like everything that you want in a modern center, and seemingly like adding new skills every day. Like, he obviously is a fantastic center as far as like, covering a lot of ground, but on top of that, he can dribble, he can shoot, he can kind of just do it all. Right. Okay, let's keep this baby going, because we're not draft experts here. But George, I'm going to go to you again first, and just like I don't know if you're a baseball fan. I think maybe you are. But it does seem like the NBA is headed towards these like kind of like season series, considering that it will either be like multiple bubbles or like a hub city or something like that. Like, I don't think it's going to be like, okay, the Raptors play Golden State, then they're back in Toronto, and then they're going to Utah. Like, I definitely think they're going to try and cut down on travel. So, I don't know. Like, who are you most excited to play a bunch of times in a row?
I would like to play Miami a bunch of times in a row, because I love Jimmy. I really love Jimmy Butler. I know that's weird for a Toronto person to say, but I feel like it's not, because I feel like him and Kyle get along. Yeah. I mean, I want to see us play Boston a bunch in a row, but at the same, like, I'm to be honest, I'm scared, but I want to win that. Like, it would feel so good. So it might be worth my fear.
Okay, that, by the way, is my answer. Exactly.
Okay.
I want to play
yeah.
Boston and I want to win. Sorry.
The other one I was going to say is the Lakers, because I feel like we can beat the Lakers just with the team we have right now, even.
Mhm.
And it would be nice to beat the champs.
Yeah, totally. So before we go to you, Randall, I'm just going to say that's basically where my head is living, because I feel like the Raptors are so good that I'm like, okay, yeah, well, let's say we play Denver a couple times in a row. It's like, I don't know what I would take from that. Like, maybe if we lost big or won big or something, I would be like, oh, whatever. But the team that I feel like, having just lost to Boston, I really want to play them and like prove that we can get better, or like OG and Pascal can improve, and that, like, you know, it's not Boston's, they're not going to rule the East for the foreseeable future. We are, you know, and also the Lakers. I would love to, I'd just love to play the champs. We beat them twice this year. We beat them pretty embarrassingly in LA. I think it was their first home loss this year. A lot of Raptors fans remember that, like, you know, it was a block party, like Boucher and Pascal blocked AD and LeBron each. It was like, it was one of those points of the season where you're like, what is going on? Because we just got injured and we're supposed to lose that game.
I think Boucher from that game was like in the highlight reels twice, like that they kept playing the top 100 highlights.
Yes.
I know at least one of his blocks was, and I think maybe, no, just one, because the other one was against Montrezl Harrell, which is
yeah,
LA as well. But anyway, sorry.
No, that's great, because then it's funny. I've thought that too when watching those like 100 highlights thing, because Boucher really did have the game of his life. Like, he was waiting for that moment. And
yeah,
who was injured? Was it Serge that was injured?
Wasn't.
I think yeah, like Serge or Gasol was injured, but yeah, like, just like he just played his ass off, and he's so overwhelmed LA with his size, like, or his length. It was fun. Randall, who do you want to see in, like, for a bunch of games in a row?
Right. So what's the deal? We're gonna play in series format now, and we can't face all the other teams.
Yeah, it seems like it will be like, let's say there'll be like, you know, the Atlantic Division.
Mhm.
We'll like go to Philly, and if we play them 4 times in a year, we'll play them 4 times in a row.
Oh, okay.
That makes sense.
We're done with Philly, so that it's like, for the sake of travel. I think the NBA is like, no, we're not going to be like, you go to Philly and then you go back and then you see them later in the year. It's like, no, we're just going to do this as efficiently as humanly possible. So
would it be like, you go to Philly, you play all 4 games on their home court? Like, it wouldn't, that's almost not fair.
That's a good question. Yeah, I don't know that. Yeah, a bunch of details are going to come out. That's a really good question, actually, because, and especially for the Raptors, like, everyone's home court's going to be weird this year, but I think the Raptors specifically are going to, like, actually not have a home court.
And they're not going to have audiences, right?
Yeah.
Well, one podcast I was just listening to was kind of talking about, you know, theoretically they're not going to have fans, but also you might have some states that have different laws and decide to let fans in the building.
Wow.
Yeah,
so
but I feel like the NBA would make the final choice. It wouldn't be the states. Like, the NBA is pretty into not risking their players more so than other leagues.
Right.
I think you're right, and like they would have to have some uniform something to establish like player safety. I remember when everything was shutting down, if I'm not mistaken, Golden State was the first team that was like, we're going to play a game with no fans. And I think, you know, LeBron came out and was like, no, we should never play basketball with no fans. I think this was like right before everything like really got insane. So like, you know, no one could have known, but yeah, it did seem like the NBA was willing to act like decisively. And at the end of the day, they're the main business. So I think if they're like, yeah, we're not going to put NBA players at risk to have fans, then, you know, let's say Oklahoma City Thunder is not going to be like, well, we're pushing through fans. Like, the NBA would just be like, no.
That said, I would go to Oklahoma City when Toronto's there.
Yeah, road trip, right?
Yeah.
They're like, all jokes aside, like COVID road trip
I'll
for
be there.
sure. Yeah, wait, Randall, did you give me a team that you're most excited for?
Oh, not yet. I'm pretty excited to face the Nets if this format is going to happen.
Oh, that'd be fun.
They said they're championship contenders, so it would be cool to kind of face them.
Right. So you want to be like, what'd you say?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sick. Okay, cool. I think that's good for Raptors talk. Let's move on to some NBA stuff. Maddie, I'm sure you got something for me. Do you have some kind of amazing NBA sting that you can play? Right.
This is
now. I think maybe I did the wrong sound effect. Before we get going on some NBA topics, me and Matt want to tell you about a really cool NBA podcast that we've recently kind of learned about. If you want a fresh perspective on basketball, you have to check out Dunktown. It's hosted by Agata and Anastasia, two new basketball fans learning about the NBA and WNBA. This podcast covers everything important on and off the court, from friendships and beef to hairstyles, emotions, short shorts, and more.
In the off season, they will be deep diving into historic games, basketball movies, cutie players from the past, and maybe even figuring out who poisoned MJ's pizza.
Whether you're a lifelong NBA fan or you know nothing about the sport of basketball, you will enjoy this fun and endearing show.
Visit their website at dunk.town for more info and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Check out their pod, you know.
Yeah, they got a sweet site. They got a lot of merch. Go to dunk.town. They got tons of merch.
These people are super legit. They just had J.E. Skeets on their show. Okay? They got big time guests. So make sure you follow, subscribe, support them. Basketball is the best. Randall, let me jump to you first on my NBA stuff. So looks like the season is back on the 22nd. It's going to be 72 games, could be 70 or 65. I think it's it's a contract thing, I guess. No fans, baseball style series. What's something else, you'd like to see the NBA modify for this season, knowing that this season is kind of like a bit of a placeholder? It seems like they're working towards, 2022 as a season where it's like, okay, this is like back to normal of a sort. But at this point, they've recognized that 2021, it won't be the Disney World bubble, but it also won't be anything resembling like a normal NBA season.
Yeah, I don't know. I have I'm just waiting for what's to come. I don't even know how to think about things that I would want to change.
It's true. I know it's a bit of a because I was still thinking okay, it looks like the NBA might come back for March. So December 22nd is so soon. And then, I'm also hearing, no All-Star game. I think what I was going for with this question is kind of thinking about the fact that there's going to be no fans and that the players are going to be kind of doing this what am I looking for? Like somewhat solitary thing that generally isn't. It's when you think about the best basketball times, it's moments like the Kawhi shot, right? Where he hits a shot and he's so surrounded by people that it's almost claustrophobic, but it's this crazy energy and it's just madness. And I think that the bubble was different and everyone's wow, we're going to have this little refuge of basketball during this time. Also, there's a lot of advocacy for Black Lives Matter and, putting major issues at the forefront. So I think it had this dual, more than dual, so many things that was good about it. But, with the virus being more spread around and them going into the season now, there's a little less wind behind their sails. So what I'm going for is what I was thinking of, with no All-Star game, maybe it would be fun if there, was some sort of like tournament that they, and I don't mean extra games. I mean like just like something along the lines of like throughout the season, they like, the way the starters track wedgies where the balls get stuck in between the rim and the backboard. Like if the players tracked like, fadeaways from the corner, or like, even if there was just some kind of like engagement of like, this is a little bit different and we're going to interact with the fans differently. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I
You're
guess
like, you're like sort of, but not really.
I don't know. I guess like somehow a 1-on-1 tournament would be like a good mini version of an all-star weekend. Yeah, that's just me. From
That's not bad.
From the previous season, one thing that I really liked was the mic'd up refs, and I think more of that would be my the new rule that I would like to implement.
Yeah, I like the refs through the plexiglass.
Right.
Like that camera was always them like coming right up to the speaker and then being like, "What'd you say?" It's just a different angle, different view. Yeah, George, what about you? What do you think?
I really like the ref thing. I think they might bring that back. I feel like every podcast I listen to is like the refs, so the talking to the camera. So
I know.
But you know how it was great. But you know how you talked about the Kawhi shot. I mean, when there was something really special this season about watching the teams cheer for themselves. Like when
I thought so.
Yeah, like
it was endearing.
Oh my God, that shot game 3, like at the end, and then you see, you see Kyle like run out and all the players. Like there was something very special about that, and that might be just because I'm like a Raptors fan, but anyways, I did really like watching the players cheer for each other and hearing them.
I even remember I remember the Sixers game before the playoffs, where I think the Sixers started to catch up, and then they started
Oh yeah. Yeah, Randall, you're totally right. Where they're like, because it was basically the bench. The benches were on. It wasn't even like the bench. It was like the second bench,
right,
playing against their second bench, and the starters were. It was just fun. I'm not saying my words right.
No, and Stanley Johnson, like that was like Boucher was like, I'll have my moment in the LA game, and Stanley Johnson's like, I'll have my moment in the bubble when things are super weird.
I think my bio on Twitter is still like Stanley Johnson fan account, because I always would like the whole season just was like, but where is Stanley? But then when he did just play well, I was like I love that. What was that game? Oh, when we lost in the round robins to Boston, but he still made it so we weren't under 100. You know what I mean? Like he scored the final basket and we got 100 points, and then a ton of people lost money because like that's kind of when you bet like are you over under 100.
Stanley Johnson bet on the game for sure.
Yeah, I don't think I'm answering your question. Though.
No, more Stanley Johnson, I think, is the answer to the question. Are entertaining. It's like release the Stanimal.
You know what I also, speaking of the Stanimal, I loved about this bubble is like I loved the games leading up to the playoffs because they seemingly didn't matter as much, and I had more fun watching those games than the playoffs because just watching the bench play the other bench was like so much fun. That was my favorite part of the bubble is those, what was it, 8 games leading up?
Yeah, it was the 8 games, and I think that's kind of like, that's, I mean, I don't know where exactly or what exactly I wanted with this question, but it's kind of like, I think what I do want is to, it's for the NBA to figure out what is the most fun thing, knowing that the obvious thing of, fans going crazy is not going to be there. And I think, like families celebrating, more interaction with players, like to a point that's not claustrophobic, because I feel like they're already like our full-time entertainers. And interviewed constantly. So I think you got to be careful with that. But even just like the shots of all the families and I think the overall camaraderie was one of the funnest parts about the bubble.
Not to advertise another podcast, but I was just listening to Chris Boucher on, I think it's like the Timeout podcast. I don't know. He was being interviewed by like a Montreal basketball or a Quebec-based basketball podcast.
Matt will just like block out whatever the like name you just said is. So no worries.
Oh, okay, great. Yeah, I mean the name could be wrong. But I was laughing my ass off just hearing him talk about being in the bubble and being like apparently like the TVs were on all the time. You'd be hanging out with all the other teams, and like if you got dunked on and they just kept replaying that shot of you being dunked on, like other players would be like, "Hey, you're about to get dunked on," like on the TV.
That's awesome.
Like it was just like super weird, you know. And then he's like, and then when the playoffs started, like the communal room where all the players would hang out would be empty because if you won, you'd want to be in there, but then the other team wouldn't want to be in there. And if you lost, like you didn't want to be in there. So like nobody was hanging out in the communal zones anymore. I don't know. I was dying laughing hearing about bubble life.
Yeah, I know. I've heard a bunch recently. I heard Danny Green just talking about stuff like all this like weirdness where it's like there's trash talking, but you're seeing people so much. So like he said he got in an elevator once and like Jamal Murray was there and he was just like, "Fuck you for hitting all those shots," and then got off on his floor because he was just like, "I don't know, I don't hate him, and we're all in this together, and like he's a good basketball player, but I'm trying to beat him, obviously." Okay, let's do this last question before Quickish Questions. Randall, I'm gonna go to you first.
All right.
I don't know. Free agency is anyone's guess. I think the draft is coming up so quick. People are talking about, obviously Victor Oladipo, Andrew Wiggins. There seems to be some Andre Drummond, and even some Gordon Hayward rumors. Who do you think? It's just a wild guess, but who do you think the biggest player to switch teams before the new season is?
I think it's going to be DeRozan.
Ooh, okay.
Free agent, right? He's a free agent.
Well, he's up on a player. Basically, he can opt into his player. He can opt into one more year with San Antonio, but very easily he could be like no, and then someone else would sign him for a couple years. So I think DeRozan's a great pick.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be DeRozan.
Where though?
Oh my gosh, I have no idea. What's a good spot for DeRozan?
Toronto would be nice.
Toronto will be nice. Oh
no, money wise, it's not in the cards. I don't think.
Just would like someone who could play defense to play on Toronto.
Ooh, DeRozan burn. Listen, I love him,
but
he didn't play.
I love him too.
He didn't play D and didn't shoot the three. So
anyways, I didn't mean to interrupt. I love zings.
George, how dare you? I'm just kidding. Randall, pick a place for DeRozan to go.
Right, I'm gonna just throw this out there. He's going to the Blazers. Stick it. It's gonna happen. I don't know. Wow. This is just an idea that I have.
DeRozan goes to the Blazers. Starting point guard. Lillard coming off the bench. He's okay with it. Just kidding. No, that wouldn't happen. But DeRozan. I mean, if you think about the Blazers, they are kind of like a 1 or 2 or 3. Like I think they're one really talented player from being where they need to be, and then also several role players. But DeRozan does seem like he's at that perfect time to be the third option on a team, and I think he could people have tweeted about it, but I feel like he could shoot like 60% as a third option on the Clippers or the Lakers, or perhaps
I don't know.
Perhaps maybe
he would never go to the Clippers.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, as an LA guy, he'd be like, I ain't going to the Clippers.
He's not going to play on the same team as Kawhi, I don't think.
Oh, right, that too. I was just thinking he's like, since he's from LA, he's like, I can't play for the Clippers. But
I don't think he'll play for the Lakers either, because I feel like there's just going to be too much pressure.
I think he goes to the Hawks.
The Hawks, yeah. I like it.
Okay, I'm changing my answer. I think he's going to go to the Magic.
Oh, wow. Okay. pairing up with Terrence Ross
Sorry.
like old days.
Yes.
T Ross and DD back at it. Okay, George, who's your biggest dude who's gonna go to a different place?
I think maybe Chris Paul will go somewhere different. And I think if that's true, he's the biggest. I don't think he's the best choice of player to pick to put on your team because he's so expensive and
Mm-hmm.
he is older, but fuck, he was so good last year. I really just hope OKC keeps him because I think he really like made that team. Like, remember when he bought suits for everybody, like custom made suits for the whole team? Like, he's a real like culture guy. Like, that doesn't make sense. He's like a real like camaraderie. He's kind of like what Kyle Lowry does to the Raptors, where he's like, this is the culture here. And I think he really brings that positive attitude. But anyways, if he changes teams, I think he's the best player who's going to be changing teams. If he doesn't, I think maybe Oladipo's the best if he changes. But I think Oladipo is just like, could make any team really great. I mean, obviously obviously the team he's on right now isn't great, but they might be with their new coach. So yeah, that's my answer.
No, that's like those are both great answers. Like, I was thinking Chris Paul was someone I was thinking about a bunch for this question. And then I was trying to think like, who's better than Chris Paul that could like actually change teams. And I'm like, he's such a good player that it's like Bradley Beal kind of comes to mind, but I don't even know if Beal's better than Chris Paul. I don't think he is right now. The one that I kind of think, like, I just think it could happen because of what's transpired is James Harden. And I know that sounds like insane, but I just think, the GM leaves, the coach leaves, whoever comes in there is going to be like, what is going on with this team? You have no picks. You have no future of any kind. And you just have like, James Harden and Westbrook, who are both great players, but just on these ridiculous contracts. So I think then they will be like, all right, well, we have to move one of these guys to start to rebuild. And then I think very quickly it's going to be like, oh, you can't move Russ. Like, James is the only one who's like has enough interest. But that's like, both of your answers are way more likely. Mine's like a mid-season, the Rockets have a bad start. Oh, wait a second. I'm not even answering my own question right. I said before the season started. So let me just fully scrap my answer.
If we're doing a long shot, not that I'm saying you were, but there is always the long shot of, Milwaukee, like Giannis doesn't resign and Milwaukee chooses to try and trade him for some assets. I think that would be a really bad decision on their part. I think they should just go for the gold and keep him for the last year, even if like he's not going to stay. But Milwaukee is kind of stupid, and I wouldn't be surprised if they were like, well, let's get some assets for him since he's not staying. So is that like long shot that, and then if he's traded before, or if he goes to a new team, then obviously it's him. He's the best player.
Well, all my family lives in Milwaukee, and they all drive Harley Davidsons. So
okay.
I'm
really sorry. I said they're dumb. Their
going to be
coach
pretty
is
offended.
just dumb.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
Bud is the master of adjustments. We all know.
So flexible, that guy.
So flexible. Yeah. Okay. This has been great. Let's finish off some quickish questions. Maddie. Yeah. I know you got a fun thing for quickish questions. So whatever you got, please give it to me. Does it look like I'm running?
Yes.
Okay, quickish questions. George, I don't know if you know how this works. I'm going to give you the very, very quick rundown, and for anyone listening too. I am going to read these questions as clearly and concisely and as fast as I can. You have to answer, no deliberation. You have to answer as quick as you can. If it's a dumb answer, that's okay. But, you can't be like, watch, Matt's going to do it. No phoning a friend.
Just call me.
No stalling.
I want you to know when I'm on the spot, I get pretty nervous about people's names. So if I just describe a player,
That's okay.
That might
don't
happen.
worry.
Okay.
And I want you to know for the last part of
Like, I couldn't even think of OG's name back there. I don't know if you guys noticed. I was like, what? I don't know what's happening.
hey,
Sorry.
no, it's I'm just saying you're in the right place because you'll see when I read these questions, I stutter, I slur,
Okay.
I misuse certain commas. It's a tough ride, but you
Okay.
know, I think we're all up for it. Maddie, Randall,
Yeah.
George, we're good.
Yeah, I'm
Good.
ready.
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna go George, Randall, Matt. All right, here we go. George, if pineapple on pizza were an NBA player, who would it be?
OG. Do I have to explain why?
Nope.
Okay.
Randall,
All right.
who's the tallest?
Who's the tallest? That's
That's,
it.
that's the question.
Taco Fall.
Matt,
Yes.
other than the Raptors, what is a franchise that you want to see win a championship?
Other than the Raptors, who do I want to see? Oh dear. I would like to see wherever DeMar ends up. I'd like to see him win.
Trailblazers, book it.
Trailblazers.
Hey, I love it, Randall.
Portland.
George,
Mhm.
best NBA roommate to have?
Kyle. I think Kyle Lowry would be pretty great.
Kyle would be good. He'd be like,
Yeah.
turn up the lights. But I love
Yeah.
you. He'd be like,
But
"All
then
right, Kyle."
like supportive.
Yeah, he'd pat your butt and you'd be like, all right. Randall, who is the rookie of the year next year? Big ticket, ball, someone else?
Yes, it's someone else. It's going to be Zeke NNAJ.
Yeah, who the Raptors draft at 29?
Yes, yes.
I love it. I love that you just started spelling his name. Cheers. That's what I did. Matt,
Yeah.
it's the eve of the draft, and the Wolves keep the number 1 pick. Who do you take?
Oh my God. I don't know many players that are up, but I will
I wanted
say
you to just say Zeke and start spelling his name.
Zeke.
No, we're not a draft pod. We've learned that. But
Yeah.
Matt, sorry.
No, I would. Well, you know what? I'm not going to say a name, but I would hope that the Timberwolves get like a fierce young 3-point shooter.
Okay.
I don't know who that
Sorry.
is.
No, you went Grizzly there, so it's like, oh my God, Matt. Okay, George, if you can impose a lifetime ban on one song or sting that gets played during NBA games, what would it be? So like a sound effect in arena.
Oh, I was gonna say Black Eyed Peas. I got a feeling, but I'm not.
No, that works. Oh wait, are you like, wait, I like it?
I mean, I did like it, but I feel like it's not. I feel like it's played a lot, and it's really embarrassing every time. Or
Yeah,
anything
it's
to do with
always
Star
embarrassing.
Wars. Star Wars shit too. Get it out of here.
Yes, I totally agree. Yes, yeah, okay, good. Those are good answers. Randall, what's a fun NBA themed Halloween costume?
Oh, okay. There's a costume you can buy where you can inflate a dinosaur, and it looks like you're riding the dinosaur, and then just wear a Lowry jersey, and you're Kyle Lowry riding a raptor.
Hey, that works for me.
That's good. That was a good one.
Okay, Matt.
Yes.
Last year, the GoDaddy curse was passed upon Muggsy Bogues, and he sold his children on it. Who from the Raptors, past or present, should write a children's book, and what would its title be?
Oh my God. Jeez Louise. I would say I would like Serge Ibaka because he could write it in a few different languages.
Mm-hmm.
And be called like My Fuzzy Friend, and it's about Serge living in your closet.
Okay, cool. It really got creepy there in the end. Yeah, it started out really nice, and then it was just like, now I'm.
It's a horror children's
Yeah,
novel.
how dare
Sorry.
you?
Didn't see it going that way.
Okay, let's finish on this. I'm going to turn this last question into an all play. George, what would you have to get back in return in order to feel okay with trading, gasp, Kyle Lowry?
Oh no. Well, I mean, I don't know which player specifically, but if we traded Kyle Lowry, we would need like your best player, your second best player, and your first round draft picks for like a few years. Is that too much?
No, it's not. It's not too much for Kyle. Randall?
Oh man, Masai Ujiri in a podium talking about it, because
Oh well, I like you. So you just need some explanation.
yeah,
Like
or a
a
Paul George, like what was traded for Paul George, I guess. I don't know. Actually, that may not even be enough.
I know. It's too sad to think of. Matt?
Right.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I'm going to be realistic and say his age is a bit of a concern to get some young prospects for him. But I think, someone similar in age that could be our new fan favorite for a little bit would be great. I don't know. Kevin Durant. I don't know.
My answer, I'm going to answer this one. I'm just going to say, you just got to club me in the back of the head.
Oh,
That's what you got to do. I don't want to be conscious when it goes down.
yeah.
Like,
You know why?
get out of a coma. Like, oh, Freddie Kyle's hasn't been a Raptor in like 3 years, and I'll be like, oh, okay.
What if it was
Do you
like
think he's
LeBron?
gonna? Do you think he'll take a pay cut so we can get Giannis?
I don't know. I'm really interested to see how, after this year, like what the strategy is going forward, and like, if Giannis wants to come, like, how does that work exactly? Like in terms of money.
I feel like
See,
Kyle would take a pay cut to hang out and win another ring with Giannis, Fred, Siakam.
I think so. And Kyle, like in the middle of his tenure, like I think at one point he signed a contract with the Raptors that, like, I think his second or first contract with the Raptors wasn't that big. It was like 40 some odd $1 million, and then it was only this most recent one that had the huge number. So it might be a thing where he's like, you guys took care of me, so like as long as I'll take a bit of a cut to win another championship or something. But guys, that's the pod. We made it. We made it to the end of COD.
Can I just say,
Confederacy of Dunks.
what a bummer to end on, for real.
I know,
I'm like
right?
upset.
I know. Okay, I was trying to think. I was like, I wish it was another really light question, but I was also like, this is a bit of an all play. I feel like I was kind of hoping we all went around the horn and we're like, we're not trading Kyle. We're not trading Kyle. We're not trading Kyle.
Wow.
I
Set us up.
should have framed it differently. It's my fault. But yeah, you know what? Let's instead of like a denouement, let's like go out on a bit of a high note. George, you're doing comedy. You're doing a bunch of stuff. Like we'll direct people towards your social needs. But is there anything going on you want people to know about, or you want to direct them towards something?
Well, yeah, I'm just Georgea Brooks everywhere, but I will have a new podcast coming out eventually soon with John Hastings, and it's about like the dirty, awful history stuff that happened in Canada. So.
Oh my God, that's amazing! And John Hastings is hilarious. So you two would be a wicked combo.
Yeah, and I have a new Instagram, because there's not a lot going on. I have a new Instagram account where I just post old pictures of suffragettes, and it's called Suffrage Hex. So follow me there.
All that for some suffragette style inspiration. That's a pretty healthy thing to start right now, to be honest. Randall, you're at work. I hope you're not in trouble. What's up? Don't plug your work.
Oh, I will plug my work. Actually, no, I'm not.
I was like, whoa, okay, so sorry.
No, just staying at home. Everybody, please stay safe.
Yep.
That's it. That's all I got to promote here.
Good, yeah. Good old safety promo.
Mm-hmm.
When we're off the air, will you tell me what you do for a living?
Yeah, and then he'll have to dox us all. It's going to be pretty scary.
Oh, okay.
Cool. Well, yeah, that's the pod. Thanks so much for everyone for listening. Share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Check out these two online and laugh at all their good shit. Matt, if you feel like we're good to go, please just give me the okay.
Okay.